You know how much Chinese people love money? We shade dumplings like ancient gold ingots. People fight over phone numbers and license plates with the number 8 because it sounds like getting rich in Chinese. And during Lunar New Year, we don't just say Happy New Year to each other. We say 恭喜发财. It means
hope you get rich. We got hope each other got both get rich together.
In fact, we even have gods whose entire job is to helping people make money. So if people want better business, more luck, or more money, they will often visit temples, burn incense, and pray to the god of wealth. And today, we are talking about the most famous god of wealth, Guan Yu. This video has two parts. First, who Guan Yu actually is, and second, how Guan Yu became one of the most worshipped gods of wealth in the Chinese-speaking world. Alright, let's get started. If you've ever walked through a Chinatown or visited a traditional Chinese home or business, you've probably seen statues or paintings like this. A fierce-looking warrior in robes and armor, mostly in green, a long black beard, a red face, and sharp, intense eyes. In his hand is a massive crescent-shaped blade carved with dragon patterns. He looks intimidating, but also deeply righteous. This is Guan Yu, often respectfully called Guan Gong or Lord Guan. He is revered as a protective and evil-repelling deity in both Taoism and Buddhism. But here's the interesting part. Guan Yu was also a real historical figure. He lived nearly 1,800 years ago during the final years of China's Han Dynasty, a time of chaos, civil war, and collapsing imperial power. He joined forces under Liu Bei, bonding with him like blood brothers. He fought countless battles, earned glorious feats, and helped Liu Bei found his kingdom, forming a three-way power balance with two other rival states, what later became known as the Threekingdoms. In fact, Guan Yu was known not only for his martial skill, but also for his love of reading. That's why in some temples and statues, you may even see him holding a book. But that raises an interesting question. How did the mighty general end up becoming one of the most famous gods of wealth in Chinese culture? In fact, Guan Yu didn't become the god of wealth simply because people believed he could magically hand out money. To traditional Chinese merchants, Guan Yu represented something even more important: trust, loyalty, honor, and righteousness. So, how did a military general transform into one of the most powerful and widely worshipped gods? The answer isn't one single reason. It's the result of centuries of merchant traditions, imperial support, folk belief, and religious influence all coming together over time. Let's break it down step by step. At one point during the wars, Guan Yu was defeated and captured by the rival warlord Cao Cao. Cao Cao deeply admired his talent and character. He treated him with great respect, offered him wealth, rank, and anything he could to keep him by his side. But Guan Yu had already sworn his loyalty to another leader, Liu Bei. Even while serving under Cao Cao, he never truly changed sides. He never forgot his sworn brotherhood with Liu Bei, or the promise they had made to stand together for life. So after helping Cao Cao win several battles, he eventually left and returned to Liu Bei, turning down every reward, title, and gift offered to him. From then on, Guan Yu became the symbol of loyalty and righteousness in Chinese culture, someone remembered for keeping his word, even when it came at a personal cost. And for merchants, that symbolism mattered enormously. About 500 years ago, during China's Ming and Qing dynasties, commerce expanded rapidly across the country. One group stood out in particular, merchants from Shanxi province. They traveled all over China and came to dominate key industries like tea, silk, sword, and even early banking. Interestingly, Guan Yu himself was from the Shanxi region. Because of this, many Shanxi merchants naturally saw him as a hometown hero. In ancient China, legal systems and written contracts were far less developed than they are today. Long-term partnerships were mostly built on trust, promises, and personal reputation. And the worst thing a merchant could face was betrayal or broken trust. That's where Guan Yu's values of loyalty and righteousness came in. To merchants, loyalty meant never betraying a partner or breaking a business promise. Righteousness meant staying principled even when profit was on the line. Because of this, many Shanxi merchants began worshipping Guan Yu as a protector of business ethics and trust. In his name, they followed simple rules: trade honestly, repay debts, and never make money through dishonest means. As Shanxi merchants grew in influence, this practice spread to other parts of China. Soon, it became common for shop owners to place Guan Yu in their stores as a guardian of wealth and integrity. Over time, Guan Yu evolved from a historical general into one of the most widely respected figures in Chinese business culture, and eventually a god of wealth in the Chinese-speaking world. But loyalty and righteousness weren't the only reasons merchants admired Guan Yu. They also respected something else. According to historical records, Guan Yu was once hit by a poisoned arrow that pierced his left arm. The wound eventually healed, but years later, he began to feel severe pain in the bone wherever it rained. A physician examined him and said the poison had already reached the bone. The only way to cure it was to cut open the arm and scrape the bone clean. Guan Yu agreed without hesitation. During the operation, he sat with his generals at the table, eating and drinking as blood flowed into a basin below. He calmly carved meat, raised his cup, and continued talking and laughing as if nothing was happening. In the time with no anesthesia, he went through both deep pain without showing any reaction. An incredible display of courage, endurance, and self-control. And that's why this story is still remembered today. Because in business and entrepreneurship, things are rarely smooth. There are setbacks, losses, and moments of real pressure. What matters in those moments is the same mindset Guan Yu showed: staying calm, holding steady under pressure, and making clear decisions even when things are at their worst. Over time, people began to see Guan Yu as more than a historical hero. They believed his very presence carried moral power. As a military general, Guan Yu was known for his commanding presence. A fierce warrior wielding a massive blade, often described in Chinese tradition as carrying a strong sense of moral authority. In popular belief, this righteous energy is what makes him capable of driving away dishonesty and malicious people, resolving disputes, and protecting against misfortune or financial loss. For merchants especially, business was never just about profit. It was full of competition, manipulation, and conflict. So, worshipping Guan Yu became a form of protection, not just for the home, but for business itself. People believed he could keep chaos away, reduce disputes, and help trade run smoothly and steadily. What began as local folk worship eventually gained something even more powerful. Over the centuries, successive Chinese dynasties continued to elevate Guan Yu's image. They presented him as the ideal example of loyalty and righteousness. a figure used to promote values like duty, obedience, and loyalty to the state. With each dynasty, he was given higher titles and greater honors, steadily raising his status over time. By the Ming Dynasty, around 400 years ago, Guan Yu's divine status had reached its peak. He was granted the title Guan Shengdijun, essentially an emperor-level title in Chinese folk religion. By the Qing Dynasty, around 300 years ago, he was officially honored as the martial sage, and alongside Confucius, known as the sage of literature. They were seen as the two greatest figures representing Chinese culture, one martial, one civil. These imperial titles weren't really about wealth. They were mainly meant to represent protection and order, keeping the nation stable, suppressing chaos, and restoring peace during times of war and unrest. At the same time, Taoism absorbed Guan Yu into its pantheon of gods. He was worshipped as a guardian figure, one believed to keep disaster and evil away. Because of strong support from the imperial court, worship of Guan Yu quickly spread among ordinary people. Over time, he was no longer just seen as a symbol of loyalty and protection. People also began to pray to him for something more practical: protection of their business, family fortune, and commercial success. In fact, long before the commercial boom of the Ming and Qing dynasties, Guan Yu was already being worshipped in local communities, just on a much smaller scale. One of the earliest known examples goes back over 1,400 years to the Sui dynasty. In Guan Yu's hometown in Shanxi, local sword merchants and officials jointly built a temple dedicated to him in Jiezhou, where people came to pray and seek blessings. That temple has been rebuilt many times over the centuries, but it still stands today as one of the oldest, largest, and best preserved temples dedicated to Guan Yu in the world. In total, there are more than 30,000 Guan Yu temples worldwide. Wherever there are Chinese communities, you will usually find some form of Guan Yu worship. Every year, on the 24th day of the 6th lunar month, believed to be his birthday, merchants and devotees hold large ceremonies to honor him, praying for safety, success in business, and good fortune. By this point, Guan Yu was no longer just remembered as a historical general. He had fully entered the spiritual world of Chinese culture. So as we can see, Guan Yu didn't become a god of wealth overnight. It was really the result of both official support from the state and long-term belief among ordinary people working together over centuries. But in Chinese wealth culture, Guan Yu is only one part of the story. There is another very famous figure, Zhao Gongming. Unlike Guan Yu, Zhao Gongming was never promoted through imperial titles. Instead, he exists mainly in folk belief as a god who directly governs wealth and financial fortune. He's closely tied to a major Lunar New Year tradition, welcoming the god of wealth, which is usually performed on the 5th day of the first lunar month. Put simply, people see it like this: Zhao Gongming is about creating wealth, bringing money and opportunities your way. Guan Yu is about protecting wealth, making sure what you earn is safe, stable, and lasts over time. Whether it's Guan Yu or Zhao Gongming, and whether people truly believe in these gods or simply see them as symbols of luck, the worship of the god of wealth ultimately reflects a shared human desire for stability, success, and prosperity. That's it for today's story on Guan Yu and the Chinese god of wealth. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.